We'll go now to Week 7. It was Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
I remember it very well.
Yeah.
Cowboys versus Eagles, October 20th. This was in Dallas, right? Cowboys won, dominated. It was 37-10. The Eagles fumbled on their first 2 possessions, led to a pair of touchdowns for the Cowboys. It was over after that. Ezekiel Elliott ran wild. He ran over. Who did he run over again in that game? It was like a highlight play.
Malcolm Jenkins, yep, early in the game, right.
111 yards for Zeke.
Yep.
Basically, whatever Dallas wanted to do, they did do, and the Eagles never got it going.
Well, I mean, it was almost, I sit here and go, it's probably their best offensive performance since just this past weekend. It's been those two. And there were similarities, too. They kind of played more through the run. Tavon Austin was involved in some trick plays and doing things like that. We saw him, added to the game plan this past week with the Rams once again. Here's the big thing to me. For the Eagles defense, okay, at that time they were kind of not all the way healthy. Fletcher Cox wasn't 100%, but still good, but not the great Fletcher Cox. He's better now. But the Eagles are still having some of the same problems. Now, in that game, they had Orlando Scandrick playing in the secondary, and he was a disaster. They attacked him most of the game for big plays because there was a reason he wasn't on a team the first 6 weeks of the year. So that was an issue. But oddly enough, I look at the Eagles and go, man, they still have some of the exact same problems then as they do now. They really do. They just let up too many big plays on the defensive side of the ball. They play a little too much man-to-man at times, which is tough to do against Dallas because you're just not going to have enough guys to match up with all 3 guys. Now, at least they're healthy back there to a degree, but it hasn't really mattered. Their health the last few weeks. They've let up a lot of big plays once again in the pass game and the run game a little bit. But, I mean, you talk about the Miami Dolphins, Devontae Parker tore them apart. You talk about the Giants, what's his name? Darius Slayton, tore them apart. You go last week, Terry McLaurin, tore them apart. So they still have secondary issues. I just look at the Eagles and go, I don't know, how can you do it? When you don't have the guys that can cover and you don't have the guys that can catch, I just don't know how you win this day and age in the NFL. And they're worse off now offensively than they were then. There is no Alshon Jeffrey. I mean, we'll see where Nelson Aguilar is this week. But they got issues on both sides of the ball. And, we'll see where the Cowboys are, but they haven't changed. At least it seems like they found a formula.
They were down 27-7
yes.
for the Eagles at halftime. Doug Peterson, you remember that was the week where he had guaranteed
You're right.
a win.
Guaranteed. We're going to go there.
And we're going to go to Dallas. We're going to win.
Right.
Later on in the week, he said, well, I wasn't really
guaranteed. Tried to backtrack.
Yeah, it wasn't really guaranteed.
He never guaranteed it.
At the end of the game, he said, quote, this is one of those games that I take personal. I've got to get that fixed. Wentz was not good, had an interception.
Yeah.
He had 2 of the 3 lost fumbles for Philadelphia.
Right.
He said that they were a little embarrassed. Quote, we didn't show up. So if there's one thing that maybe the Eagles do have, is that they're going to look back at this game as being one of the most embarrassing of the year.
Yes.
And pride might kick in.
It could,
say, even though they don't have the weapons, like you said.
Yeah.
Pride may kick in and say, in our place, when we see him again, we're not going to let that happen.
No, I think that's very real.
That's the only hope they have.
Got dominated up front. I'll say this is the other hope I would give them, okay, is now, one, they got to throw the ball down the field a little bit against Dallas Cowboys. You just got to take some shots just for taking shots to back off the aggression of the Dallas Cowboys. But for just an offensive, way to attack, the Eagles at that game, they couldn't quite figure out how they wanted to attack yet. The last few weeks, because of injuries, they've kind of been forced into a way of attacking. And it's, I think, made Carson Wentz more comfortable. Carson Wentz is certainly the difference right now for the Eagles. He's playing phenomenal. He's playing get on my shoulders, I'll carry the squad. But they have 2 ways to beat you right now. They have the tight ends and the 2 running backs out of the backfield. That's all they do, and that's their formula. Yeah, we're going to run the ball. We can do that, keep you honest, but you better watch out for Miles Sanders and Boston Scott out of the backfield in the pass game and Ertz and Goddard at the tight end position. And that's really, to me, where the game's going to be won if the Eagles can win the game, is doing that. And can they come up with enough creative ways against a defense that you hear me say a lot with the Cowboys that's very predictable and just relies on their talent too much?
Cowboys can clinch the NFC East.
Cowboys should win this game.
The funny thing is, since that game, the Eagles have had the better record. They're both 7-7. The Eagles have won more, just one more game.
Right. Well, I mean, the Cowboys don't make sense. There are a lot of yards and a lot of moments of greatness, but the moments that count, none of that shows up. And that's been their big problem until last week. So maybe they can finally get hot here. But as anybody saw last week, the Cowboys are one of the most talented teams in football. I mean, you saw they obliterated the Rams. It was a total annihilation. They destroyed them physically, everything about it. And even though they're sitting here at 7-7, yes, I'm picking them to beat the Eagles. I expect them to win this game. And I would just say watch out, because they are one of those teams, if they get hot, there's not going to be a team in the NFC playoffs that they walk on the field against and they're going to go, oh, we're overmatched here, or we're overmatched there, or we feel inadequate in this area. The Cowboys are going to be able to match up with any team in the NFC playoffs. It's just about whether they can play the game the right way and win situational football, and that's what it'll come down to.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.